I forgot. You know what? I almost just said. So I just did the Channel 7 News on sobriety, so I almost was in that
I
zone.
know that's
You
right.
know, so I got to get out of that zone. And now, welcome to the Action Drug Rehab Show here on KHTS. I'm Cary Quashin. I am your host, along with my co-host, Robby Robinson.
Yes, hello everyone, and happy Thanksgiving coming up. I know everybody's going to be doing well.
No, absolutely, and we're gonna talk about gratitude and
That's
all
right.
that good stuff. But Robby, you know what? I was looking on Facebook, and I saw my name mentioned,
Hmm.
and here's what I saw. So I could read this out loud, but I got to get to my Facebook. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, this really concerns me. It's from a child's aunt, and her name is Jennifer. I believe she's going to be calling in today at 12:15. And here's what it says: As most of you know, my nephew Shane has been missing for 2 weeks now. Because of the severity of the situation and his actions, the no custodial parents' involvement, we have to find him in inpatient rehab ASAP. And the problem, there's two problems with that. Is one, he's 13 freaking years old, and he's run away, which means people are keeping him. And
How old
that's
is he?
what he's 13,
13.
and so he's staying somewhere.
That's right.
And for what I understand, that they kind of have an idea where he's staying, and even the police went to the house and they wouldn't let him in, and they can't just barge in.
Right.
But in my 40 years of working with kids, and I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of the same, I've dealt with many parents that come to me and they're extremely upset and extremely scared and extremely worried because their child run away.
Right.
And usually because the reason that these kids ran away is they were doing things that were out of line, like using drugs and doing crazy stuff like that, and the parents are coming down on them, so the kids leave. But what they usually say to people is, my mom threw me out. My dad threw me out. My mom's abusive. So, and these people take them in when the families are at home worried, sick.
That's correct.
So my message is to anybody out there, if your child brings home another child, and that child says, I have problems at home, I can't go home, it's abusive, and they're 12, 13, 14, or 15, look at the backstory. And if a kid actually tells you something like that, like I can't go home because it's dangerous, get law enforcement involved.
That's true, and you can also get social services involved also. I just wanted to piggyback on that. I have a kid that I'd been training boxing. He had a match. He had some issues, ran away from home one time, came back. I met with him and really was talking with him. Do you know what he said to me about 2 weeks ago? He said to me, "You're too nice, coach." I says, "No, I'm not. I'm trying to give you an opportunity so you don't go to jail." So what happened on Friday, he got caught with 2 marijuana vapes, ran away from the school. The school campus supervisors was looking for him. The sheriffs were looking for him. It got so intense that fire and rescue were looking for him. So there were 3 entities out there looking for him. And he's just openly defiant. And this is what he said to his mother when I spoke to her. They ain't going to do nothing to me. They're not going to do nothing to me. So with that,
The sad thing is,
they're not going to do too much
no.
to him now. But what will happen is that pattern will keep going and going and going, and then sooner or later he'll wind up in jail, and then he won't be able to get out.
And that's exactly what happens. Right now, where there is no consequence.
There you go.
So people keep doing the same thing
That's
over and over and over again, and then one day they go before one judge, and guess what?
That's right. He's going to say, "I'm tired of it.
Game's over.
Yeah.
We had a girl in Simi Valley that was the same thing. She kept getting away with stuff, and the courts would throw it out. This was a few years ago.
Right.
And then one day she got arrested for burglary, and she didn't think it was a big deal until they said 5 years.
That's right.
Then it was a big deal as she fainted in the courtroom.
That's it.
Because she was so used to getting away with stuff. But this kid, his name is Shane, and I can say that because he posts on Instagram. I'll show you in a minute what he posted.
That's right.
So it's public. But what he's posted, he's 13 freaking years old.
Yeah.
And I want to show you something. And I'll show the camera too before Mom calls, or I'm sorry, Aunt calls in. But this is, it's kind of, it's just shows you where we're at today.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to make sure that this
Well, where
is
there's
not
no-
the news, and this is the right one.
No
No, here it
responsibility.
is.
Here you
Yeah,
go.
No. I mean, look. He's smoking a blunt. He's 13 years old. And this is what people are allowing to stay in their home while parents are looking for them. Did you see that?
I saw it. Well, here's what I was going to say to piggyback on that.
I'm sorry, but I'll watch it again. Look at this.
Well, there's no responsibility, no accountability equals no consequences.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's an aunt that's involved, and I don't know the backstory, so I
Right.
can't talk about the parents.
Right.
But I do know that there's an aunt that's screaming for help with this child.
Well, knowing you, I know that you'll reach out any way that I can help.
No, it's
Keep
not going
me
to be
involved.
a you. It's going to be
Be
a we.
us, yes.
We are going to get involved
Yes,
in this
I
one.
know. Well, I know you, and I know that you are out there to try to help people, and anything that I can do to help.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what's going on. You have to start parenting your kids. There's probably other issues, underlining issues that we don't even know about. So when we have a group session with her, with the parents, there's things that are going on, and he's reacting. That's what he's doing. He's reacting to whatever's going home. And then let's get real. Some parents are good parents doing everything they're supposed to do, and some kids choose this lifestyle because it's exciting. But they don't understand the consequences of it.
Well, it is exciting for 13. I mean, first of all, his brain's not even developed yet. He's out there obviously smoking weed and partying and getting high and probably hanging out with some older people, and some family is keeping him around.
That's right.
So, I mean, he's got no reason to stop doing what he thinks
course.
is fun, but we know is self-destructive behavior, and that's
That's
going
right.
to end up a ticket to somewhere nobody should go.
That's true.
You know, and he's, like I said, he's only 13 years old. So it saddens me. But, you know, I've been doing this for a long time, as you are.
Right.
And I have groups for anyone who don't know. It's a free parent support group and teen group every Tuesday at Sierra Vista, right?
That's right.
And kids, we have a contract kind of thing with the Hart School District. I wouldn't call it a contract because we don't get paid for it, but we have a service with them.
That's true.
And that means for anybody that gets caught with drugs here in Hart School District, parents have to come to our group once, and the kids go to what you call Tide. You're involved in that, too.
That's right.
And that's 2 days a week over at Action.
That's right.
And you know, in the
J.C. Pat, really good counselor.
really good. Yes, we could be right there. What I wanted to say is that in the old days, I'm talking a year or two ago, before legalization of pot, every time kids they were 15, 16 years old, 17. Now we're getting them 12, 13, and up. And most of them are 12 and 13 years old that are getting caught with drugs. So it's pretty scary stuff. So I believe, do we have a caller? Do we have Jennifer on?
I believe we do.
Let me grab my headphones.
There you go.
And Jennifer, is that you?
Yes, that's me.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hello, you're on the air. Is this Jennifer?
Yes, it is. Can you guys hear me?
I hear her, but I can't hear her. I can't hear him on the mics. Hold on one second.
I can hear her. Let me see.
I can't hear her.
Yeah, we don't have you, but we're going to get you. Hold on one second.
That's odd.
Let's see. Jennifer, can you hear me okay? That's so weird.
Can she talk through the regular system without a mic so we can hear her?
Let's see. I'm wondering why she's having trouble hearing you.
I can't hear her.
I can't either.
That's so strange. Jennifer, can you hear me?
No?
I've lost her. I think she hung up.
Yeah, probably because we couldn't
Yeah.
hear her.
We lost her. Okay, let's try it again.
Yes, we could do that. If not, I have
Okay.
a phone number, and
Jennifer, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear
so we
me?
can hear her out there.
You just can't hear it in your headphones.
Can't hear.
Not at all.
Okay. All right, let's try.
1 second. Don't go nowhere.
Hold on here.
Let me work on it over here, guys. Can you hear
Yeah,
okay?
but we can't hear her through anything. We did.
Can't
Can't
hear
hear.
anything.
Hold on 1 second. Don't hang up. We're working on it.
No, that's
Yep.
the other way. Yeah.
Try it now, guys.
Hello?
Oh,
Oh, there
I
you
hear
are.
you, yes.
Can you hear us?
Can you turn it up just a little?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Very good, Jennifer. I was just talking about the story about Shane, and I kind of read what you put on Facebook, how we got in touch with each other.
Yes.
And tell us what's going on, because this is just, it's turning my stomach, and I want to do something about this.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'll give you the short version. So Shane was placed in the foster care system about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And throughout the process, parents were given the opportunity for reunification. He had lived with us even prior to the DCFS case on several locations. And over the past 4 years, the parents lost reunification services. The case eventually closed, placing him and his brother in guardianship with us. And as I continued to become more stricter with the parents' visitation because of drug use on their behalf.
I was saying to Robby, I was saying if you have custody, then there's always a backstory.
Right. So, yeah, of course. So as I became tougher on them, wanting them to get clean themselves, or they wouldn't be allowed in my house, things got a little tough with Shane. They started sneaking around, seeing him behind my back, helping him, with obtaining marijuana, driving to the dispensaries. I mean,
and he's only 13, isn't he?
Yeah, and this started when he was. His drug use started when he was 11. He was in a different foster home. Right. And he was in Palmdale at the time. And when he came back, he already had that issue. He already had that temptation. And it would periodically happen where we would smell it and he'd get in trouble. And, he did a diversion program. He did a Young Marines program. He had all kinds of services through DCFS. And it just seemed that nothing was really working. And then this last time that he got in trouble at school, we had a huge blowout. There was a huge fight. And then, I continued to tell him why his parents couldn't come over because, I was like, I don't have any other, I don't have drug addicts in my house, so they shouldn't be any different. They shouldn't be treated with an exception because we have other kids in the home as well, and we've worked hard to, keep ourselves clean and off of drugs for over 10 years now. So,
very cool.
So eventually he heated up, and, I guess he had planned this out for a couple days and decided to run away. And the parents have confessed to a couple other family members that they do know their whereabouts, but because they're so angry at me, because, of course, this is all my fault, right?
Yeah, it's your fault because they don't want to get sober. It's your fault.
Right, so it's all my fault, so they're angry at me. So to get back at me, they're refusing to help bring him back home so we can get him the help he needs.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a real quick question and continue on with what you're saying.
Sure.
You are the foster mother?
We're now guardians.
Okay, guardians. Have you filed a missing persons report?
Yes, we have. It's filed with the sheriff.
How long ago did you file it?
The day he ran away, which I believe was the 3rd.
Okay, so
she does have police involvement. Tell us what's going on with the sheriffs and him right now.
Well, it took about a week to even get a detective on the case, so no one was really. I wasn't really given much help. I did have a couple deputies. There was a Deputy Murray who came on a weekend to a location where we got a tip that Shane was located, and I actually do 100% believe that he was at that house. But because they didn't have a search warrant, the deputy couldn't force himself into the property to check inside. So all we got to do was to knock on the door. It took the people that lived at the home, which is one of the biological parents' friends where they often stay, and they opened the door about 10 minutes after the deputy was knocking intensely on the door, and the deputy was telling him, like, I can hear you inside, like, I'm not going away until you open the door. Eventually they opened the door, but they weren't able to go inside. And so, we eventually just left. He told me that for my own safety, it was probably better that I left the property because there's just nothing good going at those type of houses, unfortunately. So besides that, eventually I got a detective on the line. I kept having to call myself over and over and over until they assigned a detective. It took till about 3 days ago, I think, to get that flyer posted from the sheriff's station, the one that they put on their page.
Right.
They said that they have had some some leads. A lot of it, I think I probably shouldn't say because sometimes it harms the case more than it helps by,
Right.
you know,
You
they
can
could
talk to
probably
us
also be listening.
offline.
Right.
Let me ask you one small question before you go on. This is very
Sure.
minor.
No
Are the
problem.
parents, any of them, on probation, parole, or anything?
No, not anymore, unfortunately. And they don't have a residence. They just kind of bounce around
Okay.
from drug house to drug house. So there's no actual house to be able to go and search. They just kind of randomly stay at places. So
Right.
that has made it super difficult.
Okay.
Hey, Robbie, you know what, Jennifer, I have to say this, you're pretty awesome.
Yeah, you are.
No,
I
thank
mean,
you.
no, seriously, for you taking the children in as you did, and for the love and concern that you are showing for Shane. I mean, that's pretty incredible. And it's
Thank
not
you.
an easy task. I mean, dealing with kids today is tough anyways, but put in this situation, that just causes a lot of anxiety and heartaches and all kinds of grief.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, and we still have, I have 4 daughters myself. 2 of them have moved out. I have 2 that still live at home who are teens themselves, 15 and 17. And then I have Shane's little brother, who's 5 years old, in my care. So definitely trying to keep the atmosphere in the home as normal as possible is important for him. You know, he knows that Shane is, you know, he saw him sneak out. He was the only one that actually saw him sneak out the door. And his brother gave him a hug and said, bye, love you, and, you know, walked out the door. He was the only one that caught him. And so he's aware that he left, and, you know, he's 5, so he doesn't understand. He just knows that Shane sneaked out, and he's in trouble.
yeah, whenever we have a child
yeah.
that's doing anything like this, it affects everyone in the house, and
Mhm.
especially
Right.
the younger kids. So if there's
Yeah.
siblings,
Yeah.
you know, just let them know that you're doing everything that you can to help, and that you're not giving up, and that you love them too. Because let's not forget
And I did, yeah. And I did have contact with Shane over Instagram. He keeps switching his accounts, but we keep finding some of them. But, you know, they're private. You really can't see much on them. But I did send him a message in hopes that he would receive it. And he did respond to let me know that he was safe and he had food and a roof over his head. Like if he was an adult, he kind of made it sound, but that he wasn't coming back.
Right.
So
Well,
at
what
this point,
is-
I'm pretty sure that if I see him or he's seen somewhere, I know he's gonna run. So
Of course.
I also have to keep that in mind. That if
What
anybody
is-
does see him,
Hold on just a minute. What is DCFS doing? What are they doing with you to help you?
DCFS is no longer involved because the case has been closed. So to open the DCFS case, I would have to believe I've contacted a couple people. And they said that there's no case, so there's no social work. We closed the DCFS case because there was no, the parents didn't have chances anymore to get them back. They would have to file a petition with the court.
Right.
So my next step is to go back to court and try to cancel any type of visitation that the parents might have at this point, also for the little one.
Yeah, the other thing is, I mean, I hate to say this, but the focus now has to be on the little one and on your daughters too.
Yes,
You know,
pretty much, yeah.
we're-
So
we're-
my fear comes is it's going to be us again in 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to focus on making changes and the way we did things before. You know, we're all human. We all make mistakes, and sometimes you want to believe that people can change because we change, and I know a lot of people that have changed. So it's definitely a sad situation overall.
Yes, it is. But you know what? The holidays are here, and you got a whole house full of people there.
Yeah,
So,
I do.
so I mean,
Yeah.
I think sometimes we just got to be grateful for what we have, and the
Right.
people around us that do love us and that we love. And it sounds like
Yeah.
he's it sounds like he appreciates and loves you lots too. He just wants to do what he wants to do.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and I'm glad that I find these people send tips. You know, other kids. You know, he's doing all what he thinks is cool stuff right now. So I'm glad to see that because then I can kind of sleep a little bit at night now. Now that I know that he's somewhere out here, he's definitely in Santa Clarita. So and he's gone out. He's been. People have posted that on comments. You know, have commented on posts that
Of
they've
course.
seen him here and seen him there. I randomly, when I'm doing errands or anytime I'm out, I drive around shopping centers and places. I spend a couple hours, you know, driving around and just things. You never know when he might be somewhere where I'm at, and I
All
can
right. Well,
find him.
let's talk. We got to go on a break in a minute, but I want you to do me a favor. Talk to him right now. What would you want to say to him if he was in front of you?
We just want to say that we love him and that we want him to have a better life than this. And, holidays are coming up, and, it would be great to not have to worry about what he's doing or where he's at, and just have him with his family.
And what would you like
And,
Sorry, and what would you like to say to the family that's got him in their home?
how would you feel if this was your kid?
Perfect.
But I think that because they're friends with the biological parents, they're probably seeing a different story. Probably being in an active addiction themselves as well,
Right.
makes it really hard for them to understand how we feel as Shane's guardians.
Yeah, you know what? Even I don't care active addiction or not. When
Right.
you have a 13-year-old
Yeah.
that's posting
Yeah.
stuff on Instagram, smoking a blunt like that, that's something that I would hope even somebody in active addiction would pay attention to, and that would definitely want to do something different. Also, that we have a support group for parents and kids that meets every Tuesday at Sierra Vista Middle
Yeah.
School. In fact, you've been there already. So.
Yeah, I've been there, yes.
So I hope to see you on Tuesday nights. It's free to the public, and we're there to support you in
Thank you
any
so
way
much.
we can, my friend.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Very well. But keep in touch with me, please.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Definitely will.
Thanks,
Happy
Jen.
Thanksgiving.
You too, my friend.
Bye-bye.
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 What a great woman, and how sad of a story. And sadly, there's lots of those. But we'll talk more about this kind of stuff when we come back from break. This is the Action Drug Rehab Hour. Welcome back to the Action Drug Rehab Hour here on KHTS. I'm Cary Question, along with my co-host Robby Robinson. And hey, we just hung up with Jennifer, and Jennifer is Shane's aunt, and Shane is missing in action. Actually, I don't know if he's really missing. It sounds like they kind of have an idea where he is. But what a tragedy.
Yes.
He's 13 years old. His family, his biological families are out using drugs. They lost custody. And Shane's 13 years old, staying with someone, posting pictures and videos of him smoking blunts on Instagram. And it's just a sad situation. And you know what, Jennifer? You're pretty freaking awesome. Don't
Yes.
you? I mean, you want to say anything?
Yes.
You've heard the interview. I mean, what do you think?
I would 100% agree. I think especially, and this might sound bad, but to care for a child that's not yours, I think is a special, I guess, gift, a special
It is.
person, really, because a lot of people, of course, you care about your own kid, but to really genuinely have the interest of someone else that is not your own. Obviously, she's blood relation, but it's tough, and so she's doing a good job. I know she probably doesn't always feel that way, right?
Well, it's
easy
hard
to be defeated.
Yeah, but you know what? Anyone can have a kid. It takes a real person to raise them.
Right.
And you might not be the biological mom, Jennifer, but you sure are a great person and a role model to Shane. And you know what, Shane, if you're out there listening, I hope you realize that, you got somebody that really cares and loves you a lot. And you got a brother and some sisters over at that house that are probably pretty worried about you. So you might want to rethink what you think is cool.
Right.
And that's really all I have to say about this, Robby. What do you want to say? Anything
Same
before we
thing. I'm
move on?
in total agreement. There was the incident, I think, that people already know about. It's been in the news of a 12-year-old youth that was killed. Services were offered to him. Action rehab was offered. But he chose the lifestyle of the gang, and his mother was just enabling and doing a lot of things. So now he's lost his life because of his drug addiction and gang involvement. So we have to keep fighting to try to help a lot of these kids that are out there. They think they know because the consequences aren't severe anymore. There's no severe consequences to make kids say, well, you know what? But in the long run, long run, they're really hurting themselves.
Well, and everyone around them.
Yes.
Sadly, when somebody, you're
Yes.
right, though, in the long run, they pay the price.
Oh, yeah.
Because life goes on for everybody
Sure does.
else. But
That's true.
They pay the price. It's what's really tragic is you've been doing this as long as I have.
That's right.
And when kids were in crisis 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, there were more 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now we're finding them 11.
Yes.
12, and 13. What's going on, Robby?
Well, it's the breakdown of the system per se, and the breakdown of parents. You know, not, as you always say, not spending time with your kids, knowing who your kids are. You know your kids, but just a lot of the parents don't know who they are. What do you do? What do you do? So when I see a father and mother out with their kids, and I see a father in the park with his kid, that means something. And even when they become teenagers, you still have to spend time with them. You know, and what's going on now is, like the kid said to me, "Coach, you're just too nice." I said, "But you don't really get it. I'm trying to help you. You don't see it now. You don't see it now."
Well, that's a mistake of kindness for weakness.
Yes, well, of course.
And that's not by
course.
any means the case when it comes to you. You're kind because you care, but by no means is that any sign of weakness. That's a sign of strength.
That's true. When I worked as a gang officer, we had a saying to the parents: if you don't raise them, the county or the state will, and it's not going to be nice.
Yeah. And a 13-year-old that's out there smoking blunts on the streets and that kind of stuff, I have a feeling that the state's going to get involved.
Of course they are.
And they're going to help raise him sooner or later.
As you may get by, but you don't get away.
And the system's got plenty of time.
Sure,
They're in
yeah.
no hurry.
They sure are.
Yeah, but you know, as we were saying, the breakdown is, my suggestion and what I want to get through right now, though, is parents. Parents, spend time with your kids.
That's true.
Be there for your kids.
That's right.
You know, the average parent, we've been doing these studies for the last few years, when it comes time to talk to teenagers, it's like 2 to 10 minutes when they're real talking, you know. How was your day? It was good. How was school? It was okay. Do you have any homework? I'd done it. That kind of stuff. So the last thing a 13 or 14 or a 12-year-old does now, they all have cell phones. The last thing they do when they go to sleep is pick up the phone and say goodnight to their friends in person. They're looking at them. They put down their phone and they go to sleep. First thing they do in the morning is pick up their phone and say good morning to their friends in person. They're looking at them, even before they use the restroom. They go out, say hi to mom or dad or whoever's living in that house at the moment, and go to school. Who are they with? Their friends. So they go to sleep with their friends. They wake up with their friends. Then they go to school with their friends, 6 to 8 hours? And they come home in most homes. Help me if I'm wrong. If anybody disagrees, you know the phone number here. It's 298-5487. But so they come home, and if mom and dad is even living together, they're working.
Yeah.
So who's waiting for this little 12 and 13-year-old? In most homes, nobody. That's not true.
That's right.
They're friends in person or in person. So they go to school with them. They wake up with them. They go to bed with them. They come home to them, and then mom and dad or someone comes home and says, "How you doing?" in that 2-minute conversation. They go back to their room, and they're with their friends again.
That's right.
So you want to know what's going on? I'll tell you real simple. Kids are not connected to families today in majority. They're connected to their friends.
Yes.
So if they're connected to their friends for everything, for their emotional feelings, their fun, their excitement, their heartaches, they're not connected to us. Who becomes more important?
That's true. Your friends.
Your friends.
So what's and I believe that the difference would be electronics. To have the availability to talk to anybody at any time is your cell phone, of course.
Of course.
You're talking about kids coming home from school and maybe a parent is there, maybe not. And, I grew up in the 80s, and the term latchkey kids, I'm assuming, was born during that decade. That was the whole point,
that's
right?
That's a good assumption.
That's right.
Yeah, for the most part. So it is interesting to think about what's the difference, because we still, of course, have latchkey kids.
More than ever.
More than ever, quite possibly. And now the only difference is the availability of that cell phone.
What do you think the biggest addiction in this world is right now?
Well, I mean,
About cell phones.
and I catch myself doing it too. I would assume just having any information readily available, whether it's, informative or just, hey, what's my friend doing right now? Everything is so easy. It's
Yes.
right there. It's hard to turn away from it.
I know. It's not just children. It's us. It's adults. We're all addicted to this. Everything we need is on this thing. We carry this with us. We used to have day planners. We don't have those anymore.
That's right.
It's cell phones. We used to have answering machines at home. We don't need them. We take our phones with us. Our calendars, everything is in this thing. So we're glued to it. And when people are sitting down having dinners, they have their phones with them.
That's right.
And that's ridiculous. You go to Olive Gardens or where I Red Robin I was at the other day. They have these little computers on the tables, and for I think $3 you could play games. So what they do is they buy the games to give it to the kids. So even when we're having dinner, we're not with our kids. We don't want to be bothered. So latchkey kids, even if there's a family now. So we're so freaking disconnected and so connected to everything else that our priorities are screwed up.
Yeah.
So check your priorities, man. If you have families, if you're married, if you have kids, I mean, when you sit down at a table, put the freaking phone in your pocket or leave
That's
it in
right.
the other room. Be present. There's nothing worse than when you're sitting there with your children or whoever, and they're paying attention to their phone and not you.
Well, I've been called out a couple of times by my 11-year-old, and you feel about
Yeah.
yay big when you realize that they're watching everything that you do. And she even said something to the effect of, Mom, put your phone down. I want to ask you something. And I felt terrible. And, of course, tried to immediately change my behavior. But you kind of catch yourself just getting sucked into these things.
It's so easy because it's all here. Our text messages, our Facebooks, our stocks, our meetings,
Yes.
our everything. It's all right here in the phone. So it's everything else is we almost tune out the world to get to this. And our priorities should be family. Number one. That should be it, period. Years ago I would ask a group, I would go to one of the schools and I'd do a speech at an auditorium, and I'd say, what's the most important thing in your world? And almost every kid would say, family and God. If I go and ask the same question in the same school, the answer is different. What's the most important thing in your world? My friends.
Well, there's no, and I'm not trying to be religious, but there's no even respect for God anymore.
Yeah.
There's no respect for God. When I was very young, you probably, all of us, we probably had prayer in school. We said the flag, we said prayer, we said the flag salute. And those were very essential. And I can even remember in high school, we would have, before we went to our first class, the principal would come and talk to us in the auditorium, and he would say a verse, and he would talk to us. Those things are missing because people are of the belief, I can believe I believe in God, sure. That's just a cliche now. Yeah, I believe in God. But do you really believe? Because if you really believe, you believe in God, you believe in your family, and you believe in the country and the flag. If you really believe in God. But that's all lost. This is just something that I said. And I'm not trying to be religious. We received the COVID virus because people had turned away from God. And he allowed it, and then he took it away. But I believe, that's just my belief. I'm not saying that I'm a politician and all that, but I believe that that virus came, and then because people turned their back on God, and when after a while God said, okay, and then he took it away. People in Brazil got out on the street and were praying. Kids, parents, mothers, daughters, holding their hands up and praying, and then things started happening. So I'm saying to you, we have to prioritize. God is first, your family, and then your flag and your country.
Yeah. It's been crazy out there, that's for sure. I mean, but you know what? I was talking to one of my patients at Action, right? And he said, the world is so screwed up right now. I'm losing hope. I said, yeah, the world is screwed up, but not mine. I have crisis. I have situations. I have heartaches and headaches and stress.
That's right.
But it's not going to ruin my world.
That's true.
And if I can keep my world going, I may be able to make the world a little bit better for somebody else. When I was done talking to him, he said, you just did to me. And that's all we can do.
That's it.
We can manage us. We can make our world a little bit better, no matter what's going on, and be a little bit part of the solution in this world. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
And for this holidays, you know what? Thanksgiving's here. Happy Thanksgiving, man.
Well, thank you.
Any big
You the
plans?
same, yeah.
Yeah.
Being home with my wife.
Yeah. My wife's going to cook, too, and I'm very
Yeah.
much looking forward to it. She's a great cook, I'll tell you that.
That's right.
But you know what? How about this? How about instead of sitting around trying to think of all the things we don't have and all the people who don't love us and aren't there, we think about all the things we do have.
It's true.
And all the people that do love us, and all the people that we do care about.
That's
How about
right.
if we get grateful for that?
It's true.
How about if we take the expectations on the way the holidays need to work out for us and put them in the trash can?
Yes.
How about if we don't set ourselves up with expectations? We just do the best we can and for ourselves and everyone that we care about. I bet you our world will be a little bit better. What do you think?
I totally believe that. You know, I've said this before, living in the past is dangerous for your future.
And living in the future is dangerous for today.
That's true.
I mean, we have to live for today.
Yes.
Make today the best we can. Tomorrow's coming anyways, and yesterday's gone.
For those parents who are struggling right now with your kids, I want you to really start praying and open yourself up to God and ask Him to help you, because only God can change a person's attitude. We can talk and talk until we're blue in the face. But, you know, as it says in the Word of God, a lot of things come through prayer and fasting. So that's what we need to do. And I'm not trying to change you. I'm not trying to say, you know, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you have to pray for the people who are lost, because sooner or later that will happen. You know, you have to push. Pray until something happens.
We're going to go ahead and go on break, and when we come back, talk a little bit about thankfulness and gratitude and all that great stuff. So think about that. What are you grateful for? Not what you want. Think about what are you grateful for. On that note, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Action Drug Rehab Hour. I'm Cary Question. I am your host, and Robby Robinson, my co-host, which I always love seeing him on Monday because I don't see him since last week.
Yeah.
So anyways, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. Back to teaching. Felt good.
So for parents out there
Yes.
that's got children, Robby works for the Sheriff's Department.
Sheriff
He's
Station.
a civilian
Investigator.
intervention specialist, which means he's out there to try to help people that want help.
That's
But he
right.
also does something that I think is pretty freaking awesome. He teaches free boxing to kids. So
Yes.
talk about that for a minute, because I want people that they might have kids that want to do this.
Sure. I teach boxing at Higher Vision Church every Saturday from like 12 to 2. Sometimes I'll vary the change. But if you're interested, I'll give you my number. My number is 661-607-2038. I have a bunch of kids that are just starting. I have one or two kids that are really starting, and I can tell that I'm making progress with them.
You got some pretty good fighters out there.
Yeah, I have 2 or 3 good kids. I have a kid now that's competing. I had one kid that was competing, and he kind of went the other way. But if he ever comes back, I'll still take him back. I have a really young girl, 10 years old, that really is fighting.
I think I saw her.
Yeah, she knocked somebody down.
She a tough one, man.
And I got 2 more kids, so I mean it's free. And then during the holidays, if the kids, they come on Saturday now that school is out, I may meet out in the park and have them running and conditioning. But I'm there every Saturday from 12 to 2 at Higher Vision Church. You come in, you go all the way to the end, to the NPR room. I'll be there. We have a form that they fill out, and it's free. They come in, you get your gloves, they buy their gloves, and as time progresses, they get some better equipment. But it's free to give them, to be a mentor and to give them something to do. There's a lot of tournaments that I'm going to be taking a lot of the kids to, just to help them out.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. Thanksgiving's in 3 days.
Can you believe that?
You know what? I'm grateful for a lot of stuff. I was just thinking that because
yeah.
I wake up sometimes with the stress of business and craziness. I almost forget that.
That's right.
But I am. I was looking at my wife today. I'm grateful for her.
Oh, yeah, I'm grateful for mine, too.
Took the children out with her last night to the movies. We saw the Hunger Games. My kid loves it. And
is there a new Hunger Games?
There is.
Okay.
So I'm grateful for my 2 sons, Sean and Scott, and my daughter Courtney.
Yeah.
And of course my wife Jessica. And,
right.
And all my loved ones and family, and that's what I'm paying attention to do. Even my 4 Great Danes. How's that? What are you grateful for?
Well, I'm
And
grateful,
I'm grateful
my,
for you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm
Seriously.
grateful for you too. I'm grateful for
And
God
I'm
and
grateful
my
for
wife.
you. We couldn't
Miss-
do the show without you.
Miss
Thank you.
Jenny over there.
I know.
You know, we are
It's
really
mutual.
are
Thank
grateful.
you.
She's just too cool for school. I don't know how she graduated.
Well, looks does help, you know. But no, I'm grateful.
You just made points. That's what
Oh,
you
isn't
did.
that
Okay.
great?
You're
How
kind.
about that? But you know, I'm grateful to God, grateful for my wife, family, and just for my health. And so when when you're laying down and you know you have a little health issue, you start thinking about things and what you're doing. What impact are you trying to make? What is your impact, your legacy going to be? That's very important. And so I'm very grateful for God, to God for that. And as I said to you earlier,
And I
to the
am,
audience,
because you're doing a whole lot better than you were a couple months ago.
oh, who you telling?
And you're a survivor.
Oh, yes. Who you telling? You
You-
know, it's nothing. Well, what do they say? It's nothing impossible for God.
That's right.
Nothing. There's nothing impossible. And as I was talking to the parents before we took the break, you know, don't give up on your kids. A lot of them think the world is telling them you can do this, you can do that. But we as adults know life is a process. Life is an ongoing process. And unless you commit to the process, you will not grow. So your goal is your wayward kids, when they're gone lost and doing all these things, keep praying for them. Keep being there for them. Now, you must set up boundaries if you want to see progress.
When do people change? When they have to.
When they have to.
When the consequences or the threat of the consequence outweighs the fun or payoff that they think they're having.
That's right.
That's when people change.
That's right.
So our goal, our job as parents is to, protect our children, to keep them away from the dark as much we can, to teach them right and wrong, have boundaries, good ethics,
That's right.
and that's all we can do
That's right.
at the end. And love them, of course. Everything's got to come from love.
That's true. If it doesn't come from love, then you get constant repercussions, and your kids will say things to you that may hurt your feelings. You probably have tried everything you could, and the kids are still acting out. But still be the parent. Don't be their friend. Be their parent.
I want to thank Jennifer for coming on the phone with us. I know it takes a lot to do what you were doing, and it takes a lot to come on the radio and do what you did. So thanks, and the best of luck to you and your family. I'm here for you. So is Robby if you need anything. And to everybody else, hey, let's have a great holiday season. Let's just be grateful for
That's
everything that we have in our lives, not for what we wish we have. Get rid of all the expectations and enjoy our world. And on that note, you stay safe. We care about you. We love you. We'll be back next week.
All right.